great Bobby Belt?
Bobby Belt is an idiot.
Don't make me take off my belt.
Don't make me take off my belt.
We're not. This is Cynthia Ezekiel. That didn't come out right.
Bravo, Peyton.
That's more work than you've put in all this week. Good for you.
Oh, man.
You've
been impressive today, Peyton.
Thank you.
I don't care what anybody says.
Just a troll.
That didn't come out right.
You're such a douchebag. Would the Cowboys survive an offseason of hiring Brian Schottenheimer and drafting a Michigan player at number 12? Let's talk about it here in just a second. First, I got to go off on Saquon Barkley. He's upset me. Saquon Barkley, would you say he is the most likable of all the Philadelphia Eagles?
Sure.
Generally, I don't think anybody's got a bad opinion. He's an Eagle, so nobody likes the Eagles. But in general, it's like, he's kind of a likable guy. He doesn't do anything that's like super douchey.
Devontae Smith, I think?
Yeah, I guess he's just, I personally like Jordan Mailata. Like, I think that he's just kind of a nice guy, and he's got that Aussie accent.
You've always had a thing for those accents.
And he can sing. Yeah, just like our buddy Laurie Haresh from ESPN Australia. That's just, it's something about that accent does it for me. But I'm now out on Saquon Barkley. He went on the Howard Stern show on Sirius XM on Wednesday.
Did it get buck wild?
Oh, it got pretty disgusting pretty quickly. He was asked about Taylor Swift being shown on the Jumbotron. He said, I remember that they showed her on the Jumbotron, and she got booed. I don't get it. I don't get why she was getting hate there. He says, she was there supporting her significant other, and she's made the game bigger. In football, we're all about how can we expand the game and make it more international. We're traveling to Brazil. We're traveling to Mexico. Apparently, we're traveling to Australia soon. We're trying to expand the game, and her being part of it is only helping it. I don't get the dislike she's getting. Okay, bro, first off, you are on a team that booed and threw snowballs at Santa Claus. Like, that's your team.
Right.
They're going to boo Taylor Swift on the Jumbotron. Okay, that's one. Two, she's awful. She's terrible. Her music is awful. She's uninteresting. And so I'm now out on Saquon Barkley for not just, like, he could have just let it lie, but he decided to tackle the subject head on and be a big-time Swiftie. And I'm against it. Where do you fall down on the Taylor Swift music, by the way?
I don't listen to it.
It doesn't even register for you?
No.
Have you ever heard it and gone like, it's not bad?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple of those. Teardrops on My Guitar or whatever.
I just think she is
It's like her first one.
She is the saltine of music. That's what she is. She's just
there.
Bland. Just bland. And people are like, she's a genius. It's like, it's a saltine. It's not that genius. Just relax, okay? Okay. Over at ESPN, they have a new mock draft out. And I know Will Chambers is already listening. Big-time Chicago Bears fan, Will Chambers, who I got in a big fight with over Shedeur Sanders. Him saying, Shedeur Sanders has been the number one pick for 2 years. And he's going to be the number one pick. And I said, he's not been the number one pick for 2 years. And he said, yeah, and he's going to go there. Well, as it stands now, all the mock drafts are siding with me, Will. There's a new one out from Field Yates over at ESPN. Tell me how much you think the fan base would melt down with this scenario for the Dallas Cowboys. So, first pick, the Tennessee Titans select Travis Hunter from Colorado. Most people right now are throwing them Abdul Carter or Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami. Abdul Carter, obviously the edge rusher from Penn State. Not Field Yates. He says that he thinks that they're going to look at this and say, we want the best player in the draft, and that'll be Travis Hunter. Number 2, Cleveland Browns select Abdul Carter. Edge rusher, Penn State, somebody to replace Myles Garrett. Makes sense. Giants get their pick of the quarterbacks, and they go with
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. Yep, that's correct. And there's been a little, you remember there's that whole Shedeur Sanders public flirtation with the Giants there for a little bit when it looked like they were going to get the number one pick. Like at first it was Raiders heavy. Then when it looked like it was going to be the Giants, he was flirting heavy with the Giants. That has seemed to cool significantly. I think they are getting the sense that the Giants may like Cam Ward more.
That's interesting because I do know that the Giants had been around the Colorado practices a ton.
Yeah.
Trying to soak in as much Shedeur as possible. And then during the Heisman stuff, wasn't he in the streets of New York throwing to Malik Neighbors?
Yep.
So they were trying to sort of will it into existence.
Speaking of Will, the number 4 overall pick, Will Campbell, the offensive tackle from LSU, goes to the Patriots. Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan, goes to the Jaguars. Number 6, finally, Shedeur Sanders goes off the board in this mock draft to the Las Vegas Raiders. Then you go down the list a little bit. There's some Georgia players that go back-to-back. This one would hurt. Number 9, Tetairoa McMillan, receiver from Arizona, goes to the Saints. That would be a guy that if he could miraculously fall to the Cowboys, I think they'd be all over.
Big body dude, good compliment to CD.
Dude, like a better version of what Drake London is. Like, really, really good and could be a really good possession receiver for you. I think Kellen Moore would have a lot of success with him. Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle from Texas, goes to Will Chambers Bears. Then it's the San Francisco 49ers selecting Josh Simmons, the tackle from Ohio State. So at 12, you've got Ashton Jeanty there. The Boise State running back, the guy who, Frisco product, somebody who's publicly lobbying for the Cowboys, somebody who, if you want to talk about immediate difference maker, an impact player, he is that. Like, you need an offensive line, obviously, but if you want to talk about somebody who can do a lot to even cancel out some of the issues with the offensive line, Jeanty's a guy with great contact balance, great vision, is able to get small and fit through tight areas. We're talking about a guy who stays on his feet in tight locations, gets to the second level really quickly, has bursts. Like, he is pretty much a perfect prospect, a really good pass protector. As a running back, he is right at the top as a perfect prospect to me. I think he's great.
Yeah, I think the only thing you would say is to make him perfect, a little bit more home run speed.
A little.
And he had huge chunk runs, but sometimes you'll see him get chased down a little bit. Obviously, that's being nitpicky. He's next level nasty in just about every single way, 3-down player. I get it. And now with the Cowboys' newfound dedication to having a respectable rushing attack with the concepts and whatnot, bringing in Clayton Adams and the K-State offensive line coach and stuff like that, I do think you could get much more out of Ashton Jeanty now than I thought you could have maybe a month ago.
Yeah, because you have famously, you and Brian said all sorts of disgusting things about each other's families.
We did. It got personal.
Had a really, really bad argument over Ashton Jeanty. But you're also, at 12, it's a different question than 5, right? And in this draft class specifically.
Yes, it's a little bit of a different question. I still think it's ultimately the same thing. If you tell me I can take Jeanty at 12 or I could trade out of it, I know you need a dance partner with that. I'd rather trade out of it and get a more premium position in the first round and get more picks for a team in the Cowboys that have a ton of holes. So I would still rather do that. And I'm sure even staying at 12, there's a player that the trenches is what I'm all about now. I mean, the defensive line, the offensive line, that is just so vital. You have to have it, and the Cowboys don't have enough of it right now.
My comp, obviously, he's had a bit of a fall off, but if I told you that at his peak, he's going to be peak Jonathan Taylor, you'd be down for that, right?
Not at 12.
Really?
Yeah.
Knowing that you're not paying him, you're talking about paying him less than you would pay somebody who's at the top of the running back market. You could be getting top running back output and not paying top of the market running back value.
I still think you're paying much more at the running back position than you would need to. The 12th pick in the first round is making more money than what you could get some veteran running backs on the cheap. Like, you're still overpaying for a running back.
That's
there.
Okay. You haven't lived this before.
That's true. I've never done
Broadus
this.
has told us. You haven't done this before.
I heard Dane Brugler say if Dallas doesn't take Jeanty at 12, it's hard to see him going inside the top 20.
Yeah, I could see him slide just out of, but I mean, like, we've also done this in the past. Like, if Bijan, where's Bijan going to fall? Like, I mean, who's going to take him in the top 20? And somebody takes him at 8. Or like, where's Gibbs going to go? And then Gibbs goes 12.
Yeah.
Like, and then the running game has made a bit of a comeback in the NFL this year. And I do think that Jeanty, if you're telling me like you are going to get a really legitimate superstar at the running back position, I think it's interesting. They don't go with him. We'll get into Dane Brugler's top 100 a little bit tomorrow because we're running out of time here. But I will tell you really quickly, the pick that they make is Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan. And I know this pick would probably have Brian losing his mind. He wouldn't be excited about this one. They say, though going with an offensive lineman was strongly considered here, Johnson would help fortify a Cowboys cornerback room that has plenty of questions this offseason. Trayvon Diggs is recovering from a knee injury that required surgery. Deron Bland has only 1 year left on his contract. And Jordan Lewis, another former Michigan corner, will be a free agent in March. There are some of the scouting world who see a healthy Johnson as one of the highest upside players in the class. Elite size, 6'2", with ball skills. He has 9 career interceptions. Even if the Cowboys are concerned with his speed, it won't be an issue in new coordinator Matt Eberflus's zone-heavy scheme.
Well, I don't know too much about the player, but I love the position. That's a premium position, and it's a giant need for the Cowboys. You just painted the picture there. It's slim pickings in the secondary for the Cowboys right now. So I think taking a corner, I've watched more of Jahdae Barron from Texas, and I love him. I know he's not a consensus top 20 player or whatever, but like you said,
that would be early.
That might be a bit early. I've only seen him. I haven't really seen Will Johnson, but the idea of taking a corner at 12 makes a ton of sense to me. So I'd be here for it.